Go ahead. Admit it. You've popped bubble wrap before. Maybe you told yourself it was to check if the package was okay. Sure it was. There's a reason companies have actually made phone apps that just simulate popping bubble wrap, and millions of people downloaded them. There's something about that little pop that just feels good. But here's a fact that's going to mess with your head a little. Bubble wrap was never supposed to protect anything. It wasn't invented for shipping. It wasn't even invented for packaging at all. Two guys built it trying to make wallpaper, and it completely bombed. So how did a failed home decor idea turn into something almost every online shopper on the planet now depends on? Let's get into it. Picture a small garage workshop in the late 1950s. Two engineers are in there, and they're not thinking about boxes or shipping labels at all. They're chasing a completely different idea. Wallpaper had always been flat, plain, kind of boring, honestly. These two guys wanted to make something different, something textured, something that actually had a little bit of a three-dimensional look and feel to it. Their plan was pretty clever on paper. They took two shower curtains, sealed them together in a way that trapped little pockets of air between the layers, and figured this bumpy, bubbly texture would look cool on a wall. In their heads, this was going to be the next big thing in home decorating. A wallpaper that wasn't just flat and boring, but had actual texture people could see and feel. They brought their invention to market, genuinely excited about it. And it flopped. Hard. Turns out, most people did not want their living room walls covered in plastic bubbles. Shocking, we know. Nobody was buying it. The wallpaper idea was pretty much dead within a short time of trying to sell it. Now, most people at that point would have just given up and moved on to a completely different project. But these two guys didn't quit. They looked at this weird, bubbly, air-filled material they'd created and figured there had to be some use for it, even if wallpaper wasn't it. Their next idea was honestly kind of random too. They tried marketing it as greenhouse insulation, something farmers could use to keep plants warm. That idea didn't really take off either. At this point, you'd think they might start wondering if this material was just doomed. Two failed product ideas in a row is a rough streak for any invention. But then something happened that changed everything, and it wasn't even really their idea at first. It came from watching how a completely unrelated industry was struggling with a very different problem. Around this same period, a certain type of new technology was becoming a really big deal in offices and homes across the country. These machines were expensive, they were somewhat fragile, and companies needed a reliable way to ship them safely without them getting smashed up in transit. Regular cardboard boxes alone weren't cutting it. These delicate machines needed some kind of cushion, something soft that could absorb bumps and shocks during shipping. One of the two inventors realized that this failed wallpaper material, the one covered in little air pockets, might actually be perfect for that exact job. Those bubbles weren't just fun to pop, they were also really good at absorbing impact. A box that got dropped or bumped around during shipping wouldn't transfer nearly as much force to whatever was packed inside it if there was a cushion of trapped air pockets surrounding it. So this random invention that had already failed twice suddenly found a completely different life. Instead of decorating walls or warming up greenhouses, it started wrapping around delicate machines to protect them during shipping. And it worked incredibly well. Companies noticed that products arriving wrapped in this bubbly material had way fewer damage complaints compared to products shipped without any cushioning at all. Word started spreading through the shipping and packaging industry pretty quickly after that. If this weird, bubbly plastic material could protect something as sensitive as expensive office machines, it could probably protect almost anything being shipped. Furniture companies started using it. Electronics companies started using it. Basically, any business that had to ship something breakable through the mail eventually gave it a try. And here's the thing that made it stick around for good: it wasn't just effective at protecting stuff, it was also cheap to make, lightweight, and easy to wrap around almost any shape or size of object. A flat sheet of trapped air pockets could bend around corners, wrap around awkward shapes, and still keep doing its job. Compared to older packaging materials like crumpled newspaper or heavy wood shavings, this stuff was a massive upgrade. Lighter shipments meant lower shipping costs too, which businesses obviously loved. By this point, the two inventors had officially started a whole company built entirely around this one product, the same product that had originally been rejected as home wallpaper. Within just a handful of years, their little packaging material was being used by companies across the entire country. What had once been considered a total business failure was quietly becoming one of the most widely used packaging materials in the world. Now here's where things get genuinely funny, because somewhere along the way, people realized this material had a side effect nobody had planned for. It was oddly satisfying to pop. That little snapping sound each bubble made when you pressed on it just felt good, for reasons that are honestly kind of hard to explain. Kids started popping it for fun. Adults started popping it for fun. Office workers unwrapping packages would get distracted, popping the leftover material instead of actually working. It became this weird little universal joy that had absolutely nothing to do with its actual job of protecting packages. Eventually, someone decided to study this popping obsession scientifically, because apparently that's a thing researchers do. Studies found that popping this material could actually help lower stress levels in some people, almost working like a tiny physical fidget toy. Turns out there's something genuinely calming and satisfying about the repetitive motion combined with that little pop of feedback each time. Scientists have compared the feeling to other stress-relieving habits, the same category as things like squeezing a stress ball or clicking a pen over and over. As online shopping exploded years later, this material became even more essential than anyone in that original garage workshop could have possibly imagined. Every single day, millions of packages get shipped across the country and around the world, and a huge number of them arrive with this exact material wrapped around whatever's inside. Something originally designed to look cool on a living room wall ended up becoming one of the quiet background heroes of modern online shopping. You've probably unwrapped it dozens of times without giving it a second thought. Eventually, the popping obsession got so widespread that toy companies started making entire products built around the concept. Silicone toys, shaped like little grids of bubbles, designed specifically to be pressed and popped over and over again, became massive hits, especially among kids and even plenty of adults looking for a simple way to relax. None of that would exist without two guys in a garage who originally just wanted to make interesting looking wallpaper. So think about the full journey here for a second. A product designed for home walls that completely flopped. A second attempt at greenhouse insulation that also flopped. And then, almost by accident, it became one of the most useful packaging materials on the planet, while also turning into a bizarre, beloved stress reliever that millions of people genuinely enjoy using, even when there's nothing to actually protect. That's honestly a pretty wild path for something that started as a total commercial failure. It says something interesting about how ideas work. Sometimes the thing you're trying to build completely misses the mark, but the actual material or method you created ends up being valuable for a purpose you never even considered. The wallpaper idea failed because nobody wanted bubbly walls. But those same bubbles, repurposed for a totally different job, ended up protecting countless packages and bringing a strange little burst of joy to anyone who couldn't resist popping just one more bubble. Next time a package shows up at your door wrapped in that stuff, you'll know the real story behind it. Something that started as a failed home decor experiment is now something almost nobody can resist popping at least once before throwing it away. If this one surprised you, smash that like button, hit subscribe so you catch the next story, and drop a comment telling us if you're someone who pops every single bubble or just leaves it alone. We actually read these, so don't be shy.